Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com, and I have a book review for you today. This was a book that there was no way that I wasn't buying this book as soon as I saw the title, because, you know, aside from the last time I had a book like this, that as soon as I saw the title, I had to buy it, was Grit. Of course, I did a review on Grit. I think I did a review. I didn't like Grit that much. It wasn't quite what I wanted. But this book is called What Doesn't Kill Us. Damn, how fucking awesome of a book name is that? What Doesn't Kill Us. I like it. And you can possibly guess that this is a book that's sort of about Wim Hof, the Iceman. If you haven't heard of him already, he's basically this guy that goes out in the cold, and he sort of discovered how to control his body in many ways. He's a very, very interesting guy, and he goes, I mean, he climbs up mountaintops like wearing nothing but shorts, and he goes out into ice water, and he's like the Iceman. That's what they call him, okay? He's this awesome Dutch guy. Anyway, he has got this breathing technique, right, that really basically helps you to be able to withstand the cold, but to super oxygenate your blood. We don't know the exact science behind it. It sounds a little woo-woo, but it's been very tested and proven. He's able to actually control his own immune response. So there's some tests that have actually been done on him that show that he could do that, and he can teach people how to do it. Pretty interesting stuff. Anyway, the author of this book, what he did was he basically trained with Wim Hof, and he explored a bunch of things. He basically explored the idea that environmental things like cold or heat, right, or just pain, right? He didn't go quite as, he really stuck mostly to the environmental temperature, like mostly the cold. That those changes bring about really good things in us and make us more robust. You know, I think Nicholas Taleb would say anti-fragile. Check out that book if you haven't already. I love that book. That's an awesome book. But he goes and he basically documents his journey in being a total skeptic. He was a total Wim Hof skeptic. He's debunked a lot of people before. And he goes and he says, okay, well, in order to have journalistic integrity, I got to actually explore what this, I got to actually try it. And he was basically convinced, right? He went in, he learned the breathing technique, he started doing it and doing the exercises for 6 months, did the cold exposure, and he came out the other side. He ended up climbing Mount Kilimanjaro with Wim Hof set a world record. I think it was, they climbed it in 28 hours, and normally you get altitude sickness. It takes like 5 to 6 days to do it. So pretty crazy, incredible stuff here. And him being a skeptic, it adds a lot of credibility to his story and what he's done. And he goes and explores like the origin of the Tough Mudder, some of these extreme obstacle courses. I think it was called Tough Guy. It originated in the UK, and he explores, you know, hypothermia, what happens in the military, and how people die, and all this stuff. And he actually goes and does this stuff himself. So it's a really interesting story, really interesting. It's got me convinced. You know, I've heard of doing the cold showers, I've heard of the cold therapy stuff, but there's a lot, he does go into a lot of the science about the brown fat, which, you know, I've heard before, but it's really compelling and convincing the way that he describes it and the amount of science. I don't think I've seen, I mean, I've heard a lot of the Wim Hof stuff, right? I've seen the guy in person. I've heard about him a lot, read a lot of his stuff, but I never really got a very good scientific explanation for what's going on. But he's done a really good job in this book. So anyway, I recommend the book. It's actually convinced me at this point. I'm probably going to be experimenting with the cold therapy stuff. I think at this point it makes a lot of sense. I want to try it out and see what happens with my weight loss, with my fitness program, and see if I can incorporate that. Just make it even more hard for those of you that are waiting for this thing. I just make it so friggin' tough. But I recommend the book. I think it was good. It was a very interesting read, and I believe that we're going to see a lot more in this line of medicine and health and science as these things get explored more. And there's some miraculous stories in here, honestly, from someone with Parkinson's being not cured, but having their symptoms being greatly reduced, to a guy that had, was it Crohn's disease, and having that actually be repaired by these techniques. And there's a lot of really good stuff in here. I know this sounds a little bit woo-woo, but I want to make sure that you know that you check out this book, that you don't just skip this book, because it's got some good stuff in there. So So again, how can I forget the name of this book? It's called What Doesn't Kill Us. I love that name for a book. You can check it out here. That's my review of it. If you want to get my other reviews, if you want to see what books I read, what ones I recommend, which ones I like, go ahead and click that subscribe button and you'll get all the reviews that I do, plus all the other content here on this channel. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.